What is the fascist belief and why is it so often referred to? Presented by Asher,
Faith,
Dani, and Michael.
Fascism in the 20th century context originates from Italy in the post-World War I era. As nationalistic views soar in popularity in Italy and the wanting to expand territory and wealth increase, people started to use this nationalistic view to hold power. Once Mussolini is in power and satisfies the outrage for expansion with taking of Ethiopia, he secures his power, leading Italy and Europe as a whole down a much darker path and focuses Italy to fight and claim new land.
Fascism in the modern context is often associated with many ideas such as authoritarianism or dictatorships, and is often used as a political insult. But unlike common belief, fascism isn't really about ruling. Fascism is the idea of a nationalistic, pro-military, and anti-modernist belief, with the idea that to fix issues in a governing system or within a country, you must use violent force against an enemy or the enemy to stop them, and not sort out issues with democracy and politics. Fascism as a whole is a major issue within politics and democracy. The ideas of war, violence, and racism being the primary solution for deeper problems can be a very problematic issue in the very basic ideas of peace and diplomacy. In the ideal diplomatic situation, an issue can be resolved with conversation and politics. The core ideas of fascism block this way of thinking, even saying that thinking over issues and debating are feminine and are manly. Of course, these laws apply to ideas of masculinity above all else, with common sexist beliefs.
Without the appearance of diplomacy in politics, it turns less from debates and discussions to war and violence. The idea of fascism and the belief itself have corrupted many people and figures in the past. And where there is the presence of fascism, it often brings war or genocide.
These ideas can be used with great strength on large groups of people, and it can be forced onto the public, presenting them with easy answers and solutions with a very patriotic approach. The fascist method gives people pride in their country, as seen with Germany under Hitler, and a great feeling of meaning and answers to all of their questions, also shown by Germany and Italy under Hitler and Mussolini.
The power that fascism has over the said country's people is amazingly terrifying. Again, shown by on how Hitler and Mussolini were able to rally their civilians and people to go fight across the world from South Africa to the western fronts of Germany and Russia. The sheer effect of these fascist countries and leaders have been felt worldwide, and every day we have reminders of what was suffered from these people in their own countries and others.
During the 30s to 40s, Adolf Hitler, a famous dictator and mass murderer, showed many concepts of fascism, primarily with his persecution of the Jews, his anti-Semitic policies, and identification systems of Jewish people, especially with the intense amount of categorization and concentration camps, proved his immense blame of an ethnic group to use as a source of hatred and a target to rally the people on. One of the most primary points and ideas within the fascist regime is the idea that certain groups or ethnics are to blame for issues often caused or created from a bad leadership or economic situation. Even more clear evidence onto how fascism as a whole is a problematic, simple-minded system.
During the same years of Hitler's reign, Benito Mussolini's fascist Italy also participated in the same anti-Semitic, anti-Protestant, and anti-other things like homosexual people, Romani people, and others campaign. Just like Germany, Italy persecuted specific ethnic groups, although not on the same level of quantity of camps as Germany showed, but much of the same was present in ideas and brutality. Italy, notably, had one of the greatest amounts of nationalistic, pro-military views out of any of the fascist countries. These thoughts soared in their belief and fight for their own country and rights against others, and very much show the nationalistic side of fascism and love of their own country above all others.
The first fascist motto we will be using is Believe, Obey, Fight. It reflects the importance of political faith in fascism and the idea of agree no matter the circumstance, and how violence and fighting is a core fascist answer for issues. This piece of evidence is rather simple in its point, but it really does show how loyalty and fighting for your cause are a central idea of fascism. The other main motto is Me no frego. It translates to I don't give a damn. The other model really shows some of the other classic ideas of fascism, specifically being the unacceptance of other political and economic ideas.
The greatest example of fascism in history was Mussolini, as he primarily started the ideology. Umberto Eco, an Italian boy who lived during his regime, is famous for his writings about fascism. He wrote about the 14 core ideas of fascism, and in these writings he really helps show what we know as the idea of the fascist movement, and how fascism resists the modern and resents the thought of diplomacy in most situations. He emphasizes how the belief puts down the pacifistic or regular belief of peace before war, as seen again with Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy. Although Japan never got involved in the fascist regime like Italy and Germany did, they still showed many similarities. In 1919, the Treaty of Versailles that ended World War I did not recognize the Empire of Japan's territorial claims, which angered the Japanese and led to a surge in nationalism. With the surge and the rage of the people, the nationalistic views were used to manipulate the people into the pro-militaristic and pro-nationalist ideas, which leads into fascism.
In conclusion, fascism is about the idea of not trying to take apart a place's existing society and economic structures, but to use those elements to take over and control the population. When national problems happen, a fascist person or government often finds excuses instead of addressing those problems directly and holds the country in a state of pride and anger over this, blaming others for issues within their own power system. All of the biases against ethnicities and such are used to amplify to the point of war, making fascism one of the most dangerous political systems. Here we have a few of our primary sources which we used for the general project, and secondary sources which helped us elaborate more and understand more.